I'm not sure if it's working. Alright, I think it's working. Hi everybody. So, my name is Katie and I won the contest for my Some Beach color. And I'm going to do just on one hand a manicure so you can see. So this is Some Beach, and to make this color I mixed He Blew My Mind, Yacht Club, Clover, and Island Oasis. So I'll move these out of the way. And for it, I didn't get to finish my right hand yet. I only got step 2 on before I had to start, but you can kind of see. So I'm using my rose gold that I made too. And then this one is, I marbled Satin Sheets, which is this, my rose gold, and then Some Beach. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And so I have my dip tray. All I'm using it for is the marble so I don't get it everywhere. And I take my cuticle pusher. I already prepped this hand. I washed it, prepped it, and then if I have to fix any edges, I'll just do that when I buff on step 2. So I took my cuticle pusher and sprinkled some Satin Sheets in there for my base color of my marble, and just enough to kind of coat the bottom so I don't touch the tray as I go. And then I took my rose gold and sprinkled a little bit of that in there too to kind of mix those together. And then this is the color that I want to stick out in the marble. So I take some of that on there and I kind of like just lightly sprinkle it. And I want to try to get it in a line so it kind of marbles easier. And I know there's a lot of ways to marble, and I know some people do like a, dip a clear and then they'll do their marble and then another dip of clear, but I just do 3 dips of marble. For me, it turns out better. So marble that a little bit. And so I have paper towels right here too. I have everything I need. So paper towels to wipe off my brushes. I don't know if you are supposed to wipe after every brush of step 1, but I do just to play it safe. I use a cuticle pusher to get my cuticles to make sure I don't get anything in there. I have my buffer block. I have my brush and a glass file over here. And then I have a 180 grit file too, just for buffing around my cuticles. It's easier for me that way. So what I do is go ahead and open step 1. I have all my colors. And go ahead and apply. I do thin layers of it, just to kind of, I don't want it too thick. I don't want any lifting and stuff. And I don't go all the way to the cuticle just like they show you. I only go about 80% of the way down on the first dip. I'll make sure I don't have any in my cuticles. Then I just dip into the Peppi powder and tap off the extra, and then I go in with this little orange stick cuticle thing and just get it out of my cuticles. And then my second finger is the marble. So I'm going to take, hopefully I'm in the camera view, let me move up just in case. There we go. I'm sorry about this, y'all. This is my first time on live, so I'm trying to make sure I stay in camera view. And then I take my little dip tray and I just dip my finger in and kind of roll it around. And then I tap off the extra. And you kind of see the little bit of the marble design. So hopefully it's in focus. And then take this and just kind of make sure I get all the extra powder out. And then I'm going to go in with my rose gold. And I know a lot of you have seen the rose gold. The one I made, I used Beach Bum and Rum, Pop the Cork, and I mixed slate in there also. So it kind of gives it that little bit of silver that it needs to be rose gold. And it's, I don't know, it's a really fun one, and it's really pretty too if you do an extra dip of cottontail over it. I'm not going to personally, because there's a lot of sparkle in it from the Pop the Cork, but it is really pretty with cottontail in there. And thank you guys for voting for this color. I'm super excited about it, and I'm glad you guys like it. But I figure I would do the marble today too, because I know a lot of you have asked me to do a video on how I marble, or just anybody in general to do a video. So I figured this would kind of help out a little bit, so you guys can kind of see. And I'm trying to go kind of fast. Normally I take forever doing this. That's why I'm only going to do one hand on here. Okay, and then after I dip all of them one time, I'm going to take my little brush. I'm going to do it on the side just so I don't get powder everywhere, and just brush off the extra. And I'm going to go in here, since it kind of mixed up a little bit, I'm going to take my cuticle pusher and add a little bit more of some beach in there. And mix it around a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to go back in with my step 1. Sorry if I go out of focus a little bit. I'm trying to adjust to make sure I stay in the camera view. And then I wipe off the extra onto the napkin. And I'm going to tap off the extra. I'm going to go back in with my cuticle pusher and get it out of my cuticles. And then this time I'm going to go all the way up to my cuticle. I have quite a bit on my brush, so I'm going to wipe some off. But then I'm going to fan it, or try to fan it, and get close to my cuticle, but not quite all the way. I don't want it to go into my nail bed. Then I'm going to take my dipping tray, and I'm going to dip back in, and I don't know if you can see it very well, but rotate my finger back and forth just to make sure my whole nail gets covered. Tap it off, and then there's the marble. And the marble looks really light on camera, but it's definitely a little brighter in person. I'm going to take my step 1 again and go over my middle finger. And then I'm going to fan it out and push it up to my cuticle. And then wipe off the extra. And take my rose gold. And there's not very much in there. I didn't make very much. So when I dip it and then kind of wiggle it around in there to make sure I get my whole nail. And there we go. Get the extra out of my cuticle. And go ahead and move this up here. And take more step 1. Push it into my cuticle. And wipe off the extra. And then I'm going to dip my finger back in and just tap off the extra. And these are magic, you guys, when it comes to getting it in your cuticle. I think it was Brianna that showed me how to get like the good cuticle line. If it wasn't for her, it probably wouldn't be that clean. So thank you for that tip. Alright, and then take step 1 again and go over my thumb. And you guys, if you don't have Peppi Gel yet, if you're just watching this and haven't you know, taken the plunge and bought yet, I highly recommend doing it. It is the best nail stuff I've ever used. I do my family's nails too, and now they won't even let me use normal polish. It's only Peppi Gel. I personally don't even buy any nail polish or anything anymore unless it's stamping polish. But this stuff is magic. Like, I change them quite a bit just because I get excited, and I have probably half my colors I haven't used yet except for mixing. So I like to change them up. So I was kind of excited when they asked me to do the live video. I was nervous because I've never done live. But nails are honestly my passion. I love doing nails. So I was super honored that they did that, and I'm really excited they're going to put this in production. So I know a lot of you have asked me for it, or even to like make it and sell it to you, which I can't do. But now you guys will each get your chance to get it too, without having to buy, you know, all the colors. But I still recommend buying all 4 of those colors because they're really pretty on their own. And they're fun for mixing. You can mix so many of them. Alright, I'm going to take my dip tray one more time. And my cuticle pusher, and I'm actually going to add a little bit more rose gold in there, just because Satin Sheets is kind of taken over. So we'll do a little more rose gold, and then a little more Sun Beach, and just sprinkle it in there. And then I take this really thin tool. I'm not really sure what it's called, but it came with my cuticle pushers. So I'm going to take it and just kind of move it around in there. Sorry if you hear some singing or humming. My son's in the other room. Otherwise, he would be all over this camera. So take some more step 1. This is for my 3rd dip. And go all the way up to the cuticle again. And just make sure I don't miss any of my nail. That's what I like about the dipping too, the Peppi Gel, that it's, you know, a dip process. Because even on the 2nd coat around, if you miss a spot, that 3rd dip really make sure you get all of it, so it's pretty awesome. And then I'm going to angle this and dip my finger upside down and kind of wiggle it around. And I know some people ask too, have asked me if I don't do clear over the marble or over like the glittery one like this one, if it'll come off when I buff, and it does not. Like, plus I don't buff hard enough to like have it remove all of the glitter or anything like that. And you don't really have to. As long as you have that smooth surface, then you're good to go. You don't want to over buff. That's what my first issue was when I first started. I buffed out not just the regrowth, but everything. So it kind of made my nails a little bit more fragile, like a little more prone to breaking. But this Peppi, I can't tell you how many times I have jammed my fingers or have cracked a nail like halfway through. Or about halfway down my nail, like down to here. And I mean, I could push on it, like it completely cracked. But my nail did not. It was just the Peppi. So they saved me from so many broken nails. And then my rose gold again. And I really hope you guys can see this. I can't really see my view. So hopefully I stay in there for you. Alright, and then my final coat of Sun Beach. And also, you guys, if you want to know any, like, have any questions besides asking the Peppi girls, because they are fantastic with customer service. Some of the best customer service I've ever seen, honestly. And really quick at replying, which is awesome. But if you have any questions, I highly recommend joining that Peppi Gel tips and tricks page. Everybody in there is super sweet. You can ask them anything. You can, like, and don't ever feel, you know, weird about asking certain questions, because we're all, you know, fairly new at this. And I don't think any of us are as good as the Peppi girls at doing it. But we can definitely help. Like, I've had a lot of messages from people asking me questions, and feel free to ask anytime. Like, I don't know everything, but anything I can help with, I will. I pull my step 1 off, do my last dip, tap off the extra, and then go in with this. I got a little bit on my skin right here, but it'll buff off after I apply my first coat of step 2, so it's not an issue. And then I actually have 3 paper towels set aside because I don't want to accidentally get, you know, step 3 on where I wiped step 2 and all that. So I'm going to close this off. I'm going to dust off my extra powder. You can hear the baby. Okay, so I'm going to wipe that off, and then I'm going to move those over, and I'm going to take my step 2, which is the activator, and open that up. I'm going to put just enough to coat my nail. This is the first time I ever used Some Beach on my actual nails and not just swatches. It's super pretty in person. And it has that little bit of sparkle in it from Island Oasis. It's really pretty. Alright, so I'm going to close off step 2, and I have to wait 2 minutes, or roughly 2 minutes for that to set in, and then I can file and buff. Like if you guys see right here on this finger, I have a little bit of like just a little bit that got onto my finger, but that'll come right off with the file. But again, for anybody asking, Some Beach, this is the color that, thank goodness, won me the contest. Thank you guys again for voting. And I made that with Island Oasis, Clover, He Blew My Mind, and Yacht Club. And for anybody asking if I like how much I like Peppi, I started doing Peppi, I want to say it was the end of September, beginning of October. And I started out with Onyx and Starlight. And those colors together were gorgeous. Onyx is by far my favorite. Black is my go-to nail color. But I started with those and did my nails, and it was way easier than I thought. All I did was make sure I followed the instructions. If you follow it to a T, then you're not going to have any issues at all. And now it is March, and I have almost every color of Peppi. But since I mix so often, like just an example, if I open up Yacht Club, you guys can see how low it is because I use it so often for mixing. Same with Clover. This is one of my favorites. This green is so pretty. But it gets really low. And well, actually, it's only about halfway gone. But I mix so many colors that I'm probably going to end up ordering doubles just so I can have them. Like He Blew My Mind is really low. But these colors are insane. And I have yet to find one color that isn't just gorgeous. And they last forever. Like, I think the longest I've let mine go is roughly 2.5 weeks. And yes, I had grow out, but they didn't lose any of their shine. I didn't have any cracks or chips or anything. So I think it's probably been 2 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and push, see how I have some on my skin. I'm just going to go ahead and push down on that. And then I like to file them first. I use the glass file because it's way less harsh on my skin. But I'm going to go under the nail where I have a couple rough spots and just kind of file those away. Sorry if I get out of view. I'm trying to keep it close to me so I can kind of see what I'm doing. And then I filed them before I removed, actually, so they're pretty much in the shape that I like. I do the coffin shape, and yes, these are all my natural nails. This one has a tip on it, just because I broke it. It's almost all the way grown out, like you can see where my natural nail is, and then where the tip is. So it's not that much shorter. Probably next manicure I won't need a tip anymore. But they are my natural nails. For anybody that was asking me how I get the coffin shape, so what I do is I first start filing the tip of it, and you want it to be kind of straight, as straight as possible, and then you just come at a curve, like at an angle, and you want to file that. And then I like my corners to be a little round. I have a toddler, and I don't want to poke him with any sharp edges, so just kind of curve those edges. And then I like to use the glass file too around my cuticle, just to make sure I don't have any rough spots over there. I don't want to, I get kind of rough with the buffer block, so I don't want to damage my cuticles any more than I already have. So just kind of smooth those out a little bit. And then I like to file all of the nails first around the edges and kind of reshape them before I go in with the buffer block. It might take a little bit longer, but I just like how the results are better for me. I make sure I really get my cuticles. And then I notice too, if I don't, sometimes I get them a little too thick, and you don't want that because I don't want any lifting. And then on my skin, I just push with the tip of the glass file and it lifts right off the skin because that activator, so it hardened. And you just come back in and file it down. Make sure I get all the edges. Don't want any sharp edges. So I file underneath the nail too, because I know sometimes I get some little sharp spots right in here, and I do not want that. Alright, make sure I'm good on this side. I'm going to go ahead and, this one kind of looks a little more square than I like, so I'm actually going to take a second and try to reshape this one. I was debating on doing a stamp tonight, but I know that some people have already shared how to do stamps, and there's quite a bit of videos that the Peppi Gel ladies have done, especially on YouTube, where there's marbling involved, or not marbling, but stamping involved. So I decided not to do the stamping this time and go for the marble, because I've gotten a few messages asking me to either do a video on marbling or just kind of explain how I do it. But I'm a visual person, so to see it done definitely helps me out, so I figured I would try. I'm going to actually use my 180 grit file to get this edge. I don't think I'm getting at a good enough angle. A little better. Alright, make sure I don't have any rough spots. And I file around my cuticle. And mind you, these glass files are magic. Like, I do not damage my cuticle at all. Like, I could sit here and buff my skin and it won't hurt. Versus the buffer block, I just get a little too heavy-handed with them sometimes. So until it comes to actually just buffing the surface, then I'd rather use the file. Alright, on to this one. Make sure I don't have any on my skin. Just kind of push around. And get right in there and start buffing again. Oh, this color is so bright. I don't know if it looks that bright on you guys, but it's super bright and pretty in person. And for those of you scared to kind of mix colors, don't be. So somebody asked me when I made my rose gold, how did you think to put slate in there? And slate is that really pretty light gray color. So for me, I think of when I mix like paints and stuff or nail polish to get certain colors or anything like that. So for rose gold, since you want that more metallic-y look to it, so it's not gold or pink, I always add a little bit of gray or silver to it. And so that's where I got that idea. I think it turned out really pretty. But I've seen so many of you post rose gold mixes that are gorgeous. Alright, and on to my thumb. And I'm just doing one hand tonight because I figure it would be too long of a video if I try to do both in there. So when I'm done, I'll go back and do this one. I have to buff that one and everything else. But I'm not worried about it getting messed up because I have that step 2 on there. And I don't have to use acetone or anything. I did my swipe of acetone after I buffed and prepped my nails, so I shouldn't need to use acetone for anything else unless I was stamping. I like to have a little bit to the side. Another reason I like Peppi so much is that anybody can do it. Literally anybody. And it's versatile. I can't tell you how many colors I've mixed. Just fun. And it really is an addiction on its own. Okay, then I'm going to go in and take my buffer block. I'm going to move these back a little bit. Take my buffer block and just kind of buff it until it's smooth. Pretty smooth. Just go back into my cuticle again, make sure there's no extra rough spots or bumps or anything hiding in there. And it's crazy to me too how fast it dries. That's the one thing I hated about going to salons is, well, one, spending the money, and two, after they paint them, having to wait for them to dry, because regardless of how long I waited, I promise every time I got in that car, I ended up messing up one of them. But I like that I'm able to do them at home and not have to go anywhere. Alright, smooth surface. Sorry if the camera moves a little bit. I had to kind of makeshift a stand to be able to do this, and I think I kind of shake it if I bump the table. So sorry about that if it's moving at all. Alright, smooth surface. And then when I'm done too, I know people have asked, like, something that's good to use on your cuticles. So when I'm completely done and it dries, I normally wait an extra minute, and then I wash my hands with soap just to get all the powder and extra, you know, dust off my fingers and stuff. And then I use the same stuff Tiffany has showed, the coconut oil, the Coco & Co. coconut oil. It's awesome. And you can use it for anything too. Alright, pretty smooth. I'm going on my thumb. Super excited for you guys to be able to get this color. It's awesome and perfect for summertime coming too. You know, I was thinking this color reminds me of the beach, obviously by the name of some beach, but I was gonna do an anchor or like a rope design, like a stamp, but then I decided, I don't know, I really like marbling. Alright, kind of buff that, make sure it's smooth. Alright, and I'm going to take my brush and just buff off any dust that's left over. There's still going to be a little bit, but not a big deal. Move my buffer block out of the way. And then you're going to go back in with step 2. So for me, to make sure my timing, you need to wait that 2 minutes to make sure that you don't get that matte finish look with the step 3 for it to dry funny. So I wipe off as much of the number 2 as I can, and I just want to make sure, like covering your whole nail though, just enough to wet your whole nail. You don't want to drench it or anything like that. And I make sure I get the tip too. Don't want any lifting. So brush off as much as possible and just enough to wet the nail. Because I noticed as long as I only use a little bit of step 2 but still clearly covering all of the nail, that I never have issues with my step 3 drying correctly. I'll go back in with that one. Another cool thing too is when you're completely done, if you notice any mist spots, all you have to do is buff off that shine really quick, apply step 1, do another dip, and finish like normal with your step 2, step 3. That easy. Alright, so wait 2 more minutes for that to dry. Oh, I'm a fan of that. I like that marble. And actually it would be really pretty because it's kind of sandy looking. If you do like an ombre with that and then do like a palm tree, then it would look like a beach. It would be a really pretty idea. Oh, I see some of your comments. Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. But I promise you guys, this is so easy to do. If I can do it, anybody can. It's definitely worth it. And you save so much money this way, especially since you can get, out of one of these little containers, 1 ounce containers, you can get 30 manicures. I have enough Peppi to last me the rest of my life. But I also have money saved for any of those mystery bag emails or any new colors. Because I promise you, one day I will own them all. What made me start mixing colors? Sorry, I saw a question on there. I don't really know. I have quite a few nail polishes that I really, really like. And I tried to just kind of make that color, or I thought 2 colors looked really pretty together. So I was curious what they would look like mixed together. Or trying to ombre, and some of the color, as you can tell, kind of blends in the middle when you ombre. And I've always thought some of those were insanely pretty on their own, just that mixed color. So mix them that way. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the compliments. Oh, and don't forget too, just want to make sure you guys know, if you're about to buy this, use that thank you 10 code on your starter kit. And it'll save you enough to buy another color. My ring finger color, I'm going to try to get closer. I don't know if it focuses or not, so if not, if it's out of focus, I apologize. But I marbled satin sheets, which is this one. It's a nude color, really light, like champagne nude. And I put it in my dip tray. And I sprinkled some in there, and I actually used my cuticle pusher instead of pouring because I want to waste as little powder as possible. I made a rose gold color. So I used Pop the Cork, Beach Bum and Rum, and Slate. And I took a little bit of that and sprinkled that in there. And then I took my Some Beach color that I made, and I sprinkled some of that in there on top. And then I took this tool, this really pointy tool because it's thin, and just kind of go like this and marble the colors around, and then I dipped them. And I did 3 dips of the marble. But you don't have to. You could do 1 dip and then dips of clear, or a base color, a marble and clear, or however you want to do it. But for me, I just like doing the 3 dips. But I'm sure it's been 2 minutes, so I'm going to wipe off with a paper towel my nails just to make sure I don't have any leftover step 2 on there. Okay, so wipe all that off. I'm going to use the other side to wipe off my step 3. So step 3 is the finish gel, and you want to make sure, something I've noticed that works for me is if you do a thin, they tell you to do the thin quick strokes of step 3, but really do it thin and do it kind of fast. So take my step 3 and do the quick few swipes and get the tip. Don't forget the tip, and then wipe your brush off just to make sure you don't get any of the activator in your bottle. Okay, go to my next finger. And do the tip and brush it off. You know, that ring finger kind of looks like earth. Kind of funny. Alright, and go to my next finger. And do the tip and brush off the extra. And go over to my pointer finger and do the same. And brush off that extra. Hopefully I'm in camera view for you guys, sorry about that. And then go ahead and do it again on your last finger. And then across the tip. And then you want to go directly back to your first finger. And this one I do a little bit thicker layer than the first layer. I don't know why, I just do, but for me it works. To get that shine, and this you can go way slower to kind of get that perfect shine. Try not to get any on my skin, have quite a bit on there. And then the tip, and I don't know if you necessarily need to re-swipe your brush on a napkin. I do, just as a safety precaution. I get paranoid and don't want to ruin my number 3. But I think now that I have that first layer of number 3 to protect it from the activator, you really don't have to re-wipe it. And then go down and make sure I get all the way down to my cuticle. Oh, they're so shiny. So pretty. It's crazy to me how simple this is and how long it lasts. But yeah, anybody that doesn't have it, if you're thinking about buying it, I promise you will not be disappointed. And don't forget to use Thank You 10 for your 10% off starter kit. Alright, so they are done. I got a little bit of step 3 on my cuticle, so not a big deal. Plus, when they dry, you can always go back in and kind of fix them. Or I've noticed too, the next morning in the shower it comes off. But there you go. And so how shiny they are, they will stay that shiny. And it does work for any length of nails too. My nails probably started out about like this length when I started Peppi, and I just had to file them down. Like my Valentine's Day picture, they were out to here. Like they were incredibly long, and they're my natural nails. The only one that's not natural right now is my middle finger. I had to put a tip on because I broke it. I didn't have to, but decided to. But you can kind of see where my real nail is versus the tip. So it's almost grown back out all the way. But in 2 minutes, and probably about another minute, these will be completely dry and I can go about doing anything. But look how shiny those are. It's crazy to me. But I'm glad you can see how bright that Some Beach is in camera view. I didn't know if you'd be able to tell. But super bright. And again, to make Some Beach, but that's the color that's going to be in production, and I'm incredibly excited about it. Thank you guys again for voting for it. But Some Beach, I mixed Island Oasis, Clover, He Blew My Mind, and Yacht Club. And it has, I don't know if you can tell, but a tiny, tiny bit of sparkle. It almost looks like I put Candyland not Candyland, sorry, Cottontail in it. It has like tiny bit of sparkle from that Island Oasis. So this is Island Oasis for anybody wondering. But you can see that it has that little bit of sparkle in it. Super pretty. And then for the marble again, I used Satin Sheets, which is like the champagne-y, really pretty nude color. The rose gold that I made, which I used Pop the Cork, Beach Bum and Rum, and Slate. And then I sprinkled in some beach on top of that. And then put it in the dip tray. And then my middle finger again is the rose gold. But I'm sure it's been 2 minutes, and yeah, they're completely dry. Like, you can kind of hear me tap on them, like how strong they are. They don't bend. And this will last me until I decide to redo them. If I wait, which I have no patience, so I won't be able to wait 3 weeks, but they will last. And it's cool too, because if you do chip one, for people that have been asking about, oh, if it pops off, or if you chip a corner or anything like that, you do, or if you like how they look and they grow out, you can do a fill with Peppi. You do not have to redo your whole manicure if you don't want to. For repairs, I know a lot of people do that tea bag trick, which works awesome. I use it if I like crack my nail, or if I just break a corner instead of doing a full tip, or you know, shaving my nail down. I just use the tip and it works awesome. And for the tips too, when I apply my tips, I do not use nail glue. I do not like nail glue. Step 1 works incredible as nail glue. So do a little bit of step 1 on there, push it on, file and shape, and when you do it, make sure you really buff where the tip meets your natural nail, because you want to get as flat of a surface as possible, because you don't want any weird levels. Like if you see my nail's level. And this is the one with the tip. There's not a bump or anything right there, because you got to really make sure that you buff that line. But yeah, so that's everything. I think I'm good to get off of here. Thank you guys so much again for voting for me and for watching me do my nails. You guys are awesome.